Well, flames lit up the sky in Al Dhafra desert after a drone slammed into an electrical generator on the edge of UAE's only nuclear power plant, Barakah. There were no injuries, no radiation leaks, and officials insist all 4 reactors are still running safely, but the line has been clearly crossed. Now the biggest question is, who sent these drones that slipped through one of the Gulf's most advanced air defense shields? Is Iran or one of its proxies now willing to let the war spill over to civilian nuclear sites as well? And after this terror attack, what Abu Dhabi calls a dangerous escalation, are nuclear plants across the region entering a new era of risk? So today in this edition of From the News Desk, we answer all of these questions. On May 17th, Emirati officials confirmed that a drone attack had struck the Barakah nuclear power plant complex in the Al Dhafra region, some 225 kilometers west of Abu Dhabi. According to the UAE's Ministry of Defense, 3 drones entered the country from its western border. Air defenses intercepted 2, while a third hit an electrical generator outside the plant's inner perimeter, sparking a fire that emergency teams later put out. Now, the UAE's nuclear regulator and the International Atomic Energy Agency have both stressed that there were no injuries, no radiation leaks, and that all reactor units remain in safe operation, with one unit briefly switching to emergency diesel power as just a precaution. Now, even so, Abu Dhabi's foreign ministry has condemned what it called a terrorist attack, a dangerous escalation, and a direct threat to country's security, language that signals how seriously the leadership views any strikes near this very nuclear power plant. In fact, senior presidential advisor described the incident as showing criminal disregard for civilian lives, underlining that it violates international norms meant to shield nuclear sites from the conflict. Now, at the same time, the UAE has said an investigation is underway to determine where the drone were launched from and has so far avoided public naming of any state as responsible. Now, this very attack comes after months of Iranian missiles and drone strikes on the UAE and other Gulf states, following the joint US-Israeli strikes on Iran that began on February 28. Emirati officials say their air defenses have intercepted hundreds of ballistic missiles, dozens of cruise missiles, and even thousands of drones launched from Iran since the war began, making the UAE one of Tehran's main targets. Now, many of those attacks have used Iranian-made Shahed-style suicide drones, especially the Shahed 136, a low-cost loitering munition that can fly to around 1,000 to 2,500 kilometers with a 30 to 50 kilograms explosive warhead. Now, multiple reports and reporting from the region has shown Shahed drones slamming into residential towers, oil facilities, and even areas near US bases in Gulf countries, often in large swarms designed to overwhelm air defenses. Now, given that backdrop, suspicion naturally points towards Iran or an allied proxy. In fact, some regional media citing unnamed sources suggested the Barakah strikes may have been meant to send a message to the UAE that the reactor itself could be threatened. However, there is still no public verified evidence tying this specific attack to Tehran, and the UAE's official statements notably refers only to drone entering from the western border, not from Iran across the Gulf. For now, the fact remains these. The UAE has been repeatedly targeted by Iranian missiles and drones since the US-Iran war began. Iran has mastered the use of Shahed-type drones as a cheap long-range strike weapon, but responsibility for the strike on Barakah remains unassigned pending the outcome of Abu Dhabi's investigation. Now, Barakah is the Arab world's first operational nuclear power plant, a 4-reactor facility built with South Korean technology that is expected to supply up to a quarter of the UAE's electricity. The fact that a drone has now hit a part of this very complex has set off alarm bells in Vienna, Washington, and across the Gulf. The IAEA has expressed grave concern, stressing that while Barakah's safety system and layered security worked in this very incident, but any deliberate attack near a nuclear facility is a serious breach of international norms and could, in a worst-case scenario, risk a radiological emergency. Now, nuclear safety experts point out that modern plants are designed with multiple barriers and reinforced structure, making a major release far harder than in older designs. but repeated or precise strikes on critical cooling, power, or containment systems could still create dangerous situations if defenses are saturated or fail. In simple terms, the Barakah strikes does not mean a nuclear weapon threat, but it does highlight a new kind of nuclear risk, which is conventional drones or missiles hitting civilian nuclear sites in a region already on edge. Now, as long-range loitering munitions like Shahed 136 spread and become cheaper, sensitive infrastructure once considered secure like nuclear plants, LNG terminals or desalination facilities are more exposed than ever before. For the UAE and its neighbors, this attack will likely accelerate efforts to strengthen air defenses, harden key facilities, and most importantly, push for stronger global rules against targeting of nuclear plants. But for the wider world, it is a warning shot. In the age of cheap drones and regional proxy wars, the line between the battlefield and civilian nuclear infrastructure is getting dangerously thin.